It's a great honor to have you all join me on stage to discuss autonomous driving sensing technology. All of you have been working on sensing technology for years. With this new demand of autonomous driving, the sensing technology is under pressure for breakthrough. Much like the mobile technology 20 years ago, Homo sapiens have 5 senses: sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. 2 of these, sight and hearing, play dominant roles in safe driving by human drivers. So let's give an introduction, everyone, for you. So let's start with Sandy. It doesn't work.
There we go. I think it's awake now. Sorry. Hi, my name is Sandy Kennedy. I'm Vice President of Innovation at Hexagon Positioning Intelligence, but you'll all be more familiar with our NovAtel brand, which is part of Hexagon Positioning Intelligence. That's why the dual logo is up there. So we specialize in precise positioning solutions, positioning in sort of an absolute sense because we're GNSS-based, augmented with inertial sensors as well. So you'll see we're part of the ground reference system and a lot of autonomous developments. So we've had a very long history in precise positioning. Sometimes we need to remind ourselves that the rest of the world is just discovering that centimeter level positioning is possible from GNSS, and it's something that's been our business for a very long time. And we've also worked very hard to figure out how to best augment that with the other sensor data available to us, primarily the inertial sensors. And then, as everyone, it's definitely been a theme, layering the safety aspect on top of that to make sure that this is reliable information that we can use to best help guide our vehicles.
Thank you, Sandy. Cliff?
Hi, my name is Cliff Chan. I'm a Senior Director of Application Engineering from OnSemi. For those of you who haven't heard, OnSemi, actually we're a Fortune 500 company. And it's founded in 1999. We provide a lot of power and signal management and discretes and logics, and as well as sensors to the automotive market. And myself is actually from Intelligent Sensing Group. We recently just changed name because right now, besides image sensors, we also provide radar and LiDAR detectors. So we basically been working with Apollo since the beginning, providing them the camera for the Apollo platforms.
Okay, Manju. Thank you, Cliff.
Hi, my name is Manju Hegde, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Uhnder, a company you probably haven't heard of, and I'll tell you why. Uhnder is really short for Under the Radar. That should tell you what we do, and it should also tell you our position on publicity. Now, radars have provided value to automotive consumers for over 25 years. And yet today, the sex is all about LiDARs. So one of our roles is to change that and to ensure that radars continue to provide value for the next 25 years. And I think most of you will agree that in the next 25 years, we will have self-driving cars. They will come sometime. Now, you might say, how can a small company, isn't that a little ambitious? And my response to that would be to repeat the wisdom of Margaret Mead, who said, never doubt the power of a small group of committed people to change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has.
Okay, thank you, Manju. Hi, Mike.
Hi, my name is Mike Jellin. I'm president of Velodyne LiDAR. And maybe before I begin, how many engineers in the room are excited about AVs? Yes. Well, that's why I'm here today, really. David Hall spent his career in custom sensors and DSP signal analysis in robotics. In the year 2000, he came off second place out of 1,200 teams in an international robot competition. He joined a group of people out in the desert trying to make the first self-driving cars in a competition. He used a camera system, and he said, I can see some of the road all the time, but I'm never going to see all the road all the time. It invented real-time 3D LiDAR. And we're very proud today that we had an engineer go out and solve a problem. Since that time, we've shipped tens of thousands of sensors, over $400 million. We've grown to over 500 people, 5 facilities. supporting all the autonomous programs in a vast majority around the world. And now looking forward to the next stage, getting these vehicles into mass production with the support of the Apollo program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. So let's start with the first question. How will electronic, photonic, sonic sensor technology help and shape autonomous driving development? Can sensor technology advancement bring safer transportation to the consumers? Let's start with Mike.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the goal of a perception system is to intelligently interpret the environment. And if we can make that job easier, obviously we'll accelerate the programs and we'll get these vehicles on the road. So when we work with engineers, we're trying to figure out how we increase the reliability of the systems, both in terms of localization, in terms of object identification, and then ultimately in terms of making the right decisions for the overall system. This is going to have a tremendous impact. We talked about, I think, the last session about the impact on consumers. In the US, many people know this, there's a hit and run every minute. There's an accident every 5 seconds. So the impact on the consumers is going to be tremendous. What's going to happen as the power of the AVs from the level 4 systems becomes finalized and these software systems become capable, we'll have the opportunity to port these back into consumer systems for a very clear eyes-off, mind-off mission. People love the ADAS functionality today, but it is incomplete. And it will take these perception systems and all the fine work of the Apollo program in order to round off the software and get it ready for the consumer systems.
Thank you, Mike. Manju?
Yeah, so if you look at the 3 complementary sensors, radars, LiDARs, and cameras, they all have their strengths, and if you look at next generation, in order to achieve the full power of self-driving, perception needs to be dramatically better, and the best way to do that is for each sensor to play to its strengths. For instance, let's take radar. People tend to think of radar as it doesn't have high angular resolution. And that's maybe true, but if you look at the highest resolution sensor really is a radar. If you look at space, you get micro, nanoradians actually. If your aperture is wide enough, you can get any kind of resolution you want. So the question is, if you constrain it to be small, how can you get the high resolution? And there are signal processing ways to do that. So that's an advantage of, say, LiDAR, and radar can simulate that or do that with physics. Now, if you look at things like the fundamental aspects of radar are that it is the only sensor that works in bad weather, and whether you like it or not, we are used to driving in rain and snow. Some people might say, why do you do that? And why can't we have self-driving cars to not drive anywhere else but on sunny days in California? And that's not going to work. So you will need a sensor that works when it's raining, snowing. So that's an advantage. So we want to build upon that. Another aspect is you do need to know velocities precisely. And again, radar does that fundamentally because that comes in a single reading. And why do you need velocity? Well, when we're talking about self-driving, we're not only talking about avoiding accidents, but we're also talking about other functions that we take for granted, such as changing lanes. It's critical to know, try changing lanes without knowing the speed. It's impossible. So my point is that in a combined fusion, what each sensor needs to do is highlight its strength and the strength that other sensors can't do. For the things that are gray areas, all the 3 sensors combine. And that, I think, is the purpose of fusion, and that's what will get us to the next step.
Thank you, Manju. How about you, Cliff?
So from the camera standpoint, actually, cameras are already proven to be a safety features. We started providing, probably people don't remember, those analog backup camera. We're the first one creating those to enable the industry. Now it's a mandate. So it's proven to reduce backover accidents. As the autonomous driving continues to evolve, cameras actually is getting more and more important, not just external to the car, but also internal to the car. And we need camera to do driver monitor. We need camera to see distance. We need camera to do classifications. And then to be more safe, of course, we need to fuse with other modality like radar and LiDAR, because each technology has its pros and cons. And to be safe, you need redundancies. So three technology fused together, combined together, working together, produce that redundancies.
Thank you, Cliff. How about you, Sandy?
Yeah, well, the sensor that NovAtel is dealing with is a little bit different than a camera or radar or LiDAR in that we're sensing a signal that's coming from 20,000 kilometers or more away from the Earth. I think echoing what other people have said in terms of it's really the data fusion, the combination of a number of different data sources that really provide the best quality solution and provides you more confidence in that solution. It's good to have the redundancy because if one is weak, it can help the others, but it's really best if none of them are ever weak. And you're really combining a strength of a number of sensors there. So going forward, the interesting part with GNSS is we're entering the age of when it's really truly GNSS, and we have multiple constellations to choose from. And we also have much more advanced signal processing available to us now, because we also have the challenges of all of the other wireless communication and wireless things that are going on around us. So you need to make sure that your GNSS is still able to exploit that wonderful but very weak signal coming from space. So I think as we go forward, we'll expand the conditions under which that precision is really possible and strengthen that combination of data fusion from all of the sensors to really gain that safety and redundancy that we need.
Great, thank you for everyone. I totally agree with you. We need to combine all the sensors working together to bring a safer transportation for the autonomous driving technology development. Now let's move to the second question. It's the same question. What can we, the Apollo platforms and the hardware partner working together to bring autonomous driving sooner to the consumers? Yeah, let's start with Sandy.
I think it's that open platform that you've been talking about because it provides a place for all the different providers to interact. And I think what's really going to speed the development is that type of feedback as the different components of the system, the producers of it can, or even people using it, have experience with it and have the feedback back and forth between, what is lacking? Is there anything that you can do to improve this? I can offer this part. What can you offer? And I think that open communication and being able to quickly receive feedback on all the different components will really speed a final product.
Thank you, Sandy. How about you, Cliff?
I think the Apollo open platform actually is a very good idea. It, like Sandy said, it accelerates developments and gives the providers instant feedbacks on what needs to be improved. And also, with Baidu behind it, it takes industry giant to pull all the ecosystem together. So then, connect all the dots and drive the industry, at lightning speed.
Thank you, Cliff. How about you, Manju?
Yeah, I think there's lots of advantages in open platforms in terms of compatibility and testing. But I think the single biggest advantage of an open platform is trust. Ultimately, for self-driving cars to become pervasive, they got to counter the 100+ years of familiarity we have with driven cars, the cars that we drive. And while a few early adopters like self-driving cars, I wouldn't let my children in a self-driving car until I was absolutely sure. That trust, how do we engender the trust? I mean, if you look at some calamities that have occurred recently in the self-driving, it took a long time to figure out what happened. The best way to get people's trust is to be transparent. And there's nothing more transparent than an open platform. To me, that is the single biggest value of the Apollo platform.
Thank you, Manju. Mike?
Yeah, Velodyne is grateful to be a Baidu partner here now for 5 years and part of the Apollo program since its inception. I think coming along with trust, the old phrase is trust but verify, which is data. And I think the opportunity for data sharing, because the needs of the market, the data needs of the market is just immense. It's immense for mapping, it's immense for training your neural nets and your deep learning, and understanding in the tens of thousands, the corner cases of autonomous driving. That makes it so difficult. So if there's a way to share that data and then contribute to that, I think that's going to help accelerate everyone's learning, because no one company can put together the complete data set to do this in any sort of reasonable time period. I mean, the Apollo program, one of the remarkable things with its new minibus shuttles, they got off the ground in 8 months from complete start to finish, and you can only do that through this collaborative approach, this data sharing approach, and this pre-integration.
Thank you, Mike. So I will throw another question. In your own field, you are expert in LiDAR, radar, and the camera and the navigation systems. I would like to see in this new era of autonomous driving coming, what did you see in your own field of technology? What advancement you see in the soon future? Maybe we'll start with Mike.
Yeah, on the LiDAR side, we look forward, I think the market looks forward to mass-produced LiDAR. Obviously, we're a pre-mass production LiDAR for true 3D real-time LiDAR, and that's the advantage of radar and camera from a cost point. We're very pleased that the path regarding the cost roadmap for us is very clear. We've already completed our in-house silicon and are prepared for mass production. So what we need is to put the challenge back on the audience, is we need all the Apollo engineers to finish their software sets, get the vehicles on the road, and get in operation, because the LiDAR costs will fall by orders of magnitude. We have a very clear line of sight and literally quoting for mass production 90 to 95% cost reduction, and that's all from the volume cost curve. We continue to come out with new advancements as they become reality, because I think we do need real solutions for the market. But we really need strong programs, and that's exactly what Apollo is, in order to get these systems on the road, generate that volume, and give people the cost reduction they want for that virtuous cycle.
Great. We're ready for HVM now. Huh? Great. I couldn't wait for the LiDAR to reduce the price. We're ready for that. Okay, Manju?
Yeah, first, I just realized one thing, and I must applaud you for your choice of the two panels, because when you think of self-driving cars, what are the 4 things you need? You need to answer the following question, like, where am I? Who or what is around me? What is to be? And what should I do? So if you look, Sandy tells you where you are. The 3 of us say what is around us and what is to be. And your previous panel, along with you, tells you what to do. So it's a perfect kind of panel for the topic that you're talking about. Coming back to radar, I think what radar has been missing is the kind of power that defense and the military and aerospace has had. You know, they all have imaging radar. They've got radars that can see objects in 3 dimensions. That's missing in automotive, because automotive radar, its lineage was a very simple problem. It was to detect a bright object, a car or a truck at bore sight. That was the adaptive cruise control problem. All of today's radars are essentially descendants of that lineage. For self-driving, what is in front is important, but what's even more important is what's on the side, the child next to the truck, the bicycle darting across, and maybe what's behind you, and that requires imaging radar. That is the problem we are solving.
Thank you, Manju. Hi, Cliff.
So there's always an insatiable demand for higher resolutions. I mean, look at our cell phones. Soon we're going to have a 32 meg camera on our cell phones. Even for automotive camera, the demand for higher and higher resolutions continue to drive us to look at new technology to create better sensor without sacrificing sensitivity, as well as a higher dynamic range to see the very difficult high contrast lighting situations. And from our company standpoint, we'll continue to follow this curve to create better and higher resolution sensors to address the market needs.
Thank you, Cliff. Sandy?
Sure. So on the topic of resolution, we have a saying in the positioning industry that accuracy is addictive. And once you get a taste of it, you find so many more applications for it than you realized that you had before. So I think going forward, it's really being able to deliver that kind of accuracy, fully exploit all of the signals that are available, all the augmentation that's available to you, and be able to do that, of course, in an decreasing footprint, decreasing power, lower cost as well. But it's definitely an interesting road ahead as we continue to exploit and protect the accuracy that we've become accustomed to and that we need to drive some of the new applications.
Thank you so much. Thank you for Sandy, Cliff, Manju, and Mike to share their insightful understanding about autonomous driving sensor technology. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you.